Labour Party says it will zone the presidential ticket to the south for the 2027 elections. Former Kaduna Governor and former Attorney General of the Federation, all facing scrutiny of anti-graft agencies. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimale right here for you in Abuja. Let's tell you about some of the cases we're monitoring for you, especially that of the former governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasiru El-Rufai, where a federal high court sitting in Kaduna has adjourned proceedings on the bail application of the former governor till the 31st of March 2026. The decision followed today's hearing, during which legal arguments were presented by both the prosecution and the defense. At a court session, counsel to the defendant, Upon urged the court to grant his client bail, citing constitutional rights and the need to allow the former governor adequately and enough time to prepare his defense. However, the prosecution opposed the application, arguing that the charges against El-Rufai are serious and that granting bail could interfere with ongoing investigation. The former Kaduna governor was arraigned by the APC over charges related to alleged corruption and abuse of office. Take a listen to some of the lawyers and those involved in the matter today who had one or two things to say after today's proceedings.
Madam El-Rufai amounts basically to allegations of deposit of money into his domiciliary accounts and monetization of his earnings. They finally joined Joel on the 10th count. Out of 10 counts, they joined him on only one. What we have is that they applied to arraign, and I respectfully pointed out that since Malam El-Rufai has proceedings pending with respect to the judge himself, the judge cannot proceed. The judge, in his wisdom, decided to proceed with the arraignment. And in his own wisdom also adjourned the matter for the applications that may be pending to be heard on the 31st of March.
We're just here in solidarity. Malam, to us, is the father of modern Kaduna. I'm sure you can see all the roads when you all drove here. So we're just here to support him, and we believe in the judicial process and the rule of law. So may God continue to bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and may all this chaos come to an end, particularly in insecurity.
From the courtroom in Kaduna State, I'll take you to Maitama in Abuja, where the former Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, has raised an alarm over what has become a forceful takeover of his property and a home in Maitama. Operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the EFCC, was saying laying blockade and access to the Abuja residence of the former Minister of Justice. Residents and visitors were reportedly prevented from accessing the street as the anti-graft agency mounted a heavy security presence. The agency confirmed that its operatives are acting on a lawful court order firmly grounded in judicial authority. This development is on the heels of recent operations by security agencies targeting several of the former minister's assets across the Federal Capital Territory, and operatives had earlier marked the property for forfeiture. So much for us to chew on today. And my guest tonight is by all means an elder statesman, a former governor, a sitting senator, and there's so much to talk about. Is the opposition under threat in this our country? But we'll serve you some of your political roundup stories, and we get talking. It's no holds barred, and we'll confront the issues for you tonight.
The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has presented a draft copy of the 2027 regulations and guidelines for leaders of political parties, with emphasis on party administration, campaign financing, registration and deregistration. Addressing political party leaders in Abuja, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Joash Amupiton, notes that a review of the 2023 regulations and guidelines became necessary following the passage of the 2026 Electoral Act. Meanwhile, the Inter-Party Advisory Council continues to express concerns over clauses in the new Electoral Act that mandate political parties to hold direct primaries in the new Electoral Act. The Minister of Interior, Mr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, says the federal government will not condone any form of corruption or inhumane treatment of inmates, stressing that officers of the Nigerian Correctional Service will not be spared if found wanting. The minister stated this in Abuja while receiving a report conducted by an independent panel on alleged corruption, abuse of power, torture, and inhumane treatment against the Nigerian Correctional Service. The report, which was presented by the chairperson of the committee, identified weak oversight mechanisms, corruption, overcrowding, and lack of transparency as some of its findings and recommends immediate action to change the narrative. In Ondo State, the Abdurrahman Mohammed-led group of the People's Democratic Party has elected the members of the Executive Council for the state chapter of the party. At the Congress held in Akure, the state capital, Olani Ogumbuji emerged as the state chairman of the party. Also elected were Akinwamide Adedeji, State Deputy Chairman. Officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) were present during the exercise, while the officers of the Department of State Service provided security. The Southern and Middle Belt Leaders Forum are calling for the zoning of the 2027 presidency to southern Nigeria. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the group, which includes Ohanes Ndibo, Afenifere, and Pandef, says political parties should ensure their presidential candidates emerge from the south, as the move is necessary for national stability and in line with Nigeria's zoning tradition since 1999. The forum also called for state policing and renewed efforts to address insecurity across the country.
All right, there you have your political roundup stories, but let's tell you that there is a dimension now in the planned 2027 election. INEC is now consulting with political parties, and they have now presented a draft INEC guidelines to the political parties for their own input, and allow you to listen to what transpired between the INEC and the political parties. Of course, we heard in chairman of Inter-Party Advisory Council, which is continuing to raise issues relating to the Electoral Act and some of the deviations of some of the grey areas as highlighted in the new law. Take a listen to what transpired in that meeting.
The Commission has concluded a clause-by-clause realignment of our regulations and guidelines to ensure that they are not only legally aligned, but operationally in sync with the new acts. It is our hope that these updated guidelines will foster a more transparent, fair, and equitable electoral landscape for all the stakeholders involved. Regulations have been put in place to ensure that campaigns activities are conducted peacefully and respect the rights and dignities of all citizens. 5. Finances and election expenses. We have also established clear standards regarding the finances of political parties, emphasizing the need for transparency and accountability in managing party funds and campaign expenses.
IPAC firmly demands that the National Assembly, as a matter of urgency, revisit and amend the Electoral Act 2026. Specifically, the provisions mandating direct primaries must be reconsidered, and the option of direct primaries restored, or indirect primary restored. The choice of candidate selection method remains an internal affair of political parties and must not be subjected to undue legislative interference. Furthermore, the requirement for political parties to submit their membership registers, including members' national identification numbers, within the limited time frame of 1st to 21st of April 2026 is impractical and exclusionary. Transition of results to the IREV should be mandatory immediately after the results are announced at the polling unit, and no proviso is required.
That's what happened today, and much after when we see the review of the draft, then INEC will be able to come out with the guideline, because that guideline is very important, it's key, because the Electoral Act will rest on it, because that is a direct tool and the tool, legal tool that INEC will use in implementing the 2027 election. But there is a new dimension that is playing out in the Labour Party, although the party has now postponed and rescheduled its national convention, because he said after stakeholders meeting, they've now realized that they need to postpone the exercise to be able to accommodate all interests. However, the chairperson of the Labour Party, Senator Nanadu Usman, has said that the party will zone the presidential ticket to the southern region of the country for 2027. Take a listen to her.
It all depends on whoever wants to use the Labour Party, because we cannot go out there to beg people, please come and use the Labour Party to contest election. It's never done. It's left for future aspirants who want to use the Labour Party to come. But we have one certain decision that we have taken, that is to say that we will certainly not field any aspirant from northern Nigeria. We have zoned the position to southern Nigeria. So if any northerner comes now to want to contest election, we certainly will not accept that. But as for who, I can't tell you now, because then it won't be democratic anymore. We're supposed to have and practice internal democracy. So in view of the internal democracy we intend to practice and keep to, we will not be able to tell. When the aspirants come, whoever, if the people like them and vote for them during the primaries, then whoever it is that wins the primaries, then he could be the candidate.
All right, let's get to talk with my guest tonight, and it's about what is becoming a major political shake-up in our country today, with the implication for Nigeria's opposition ahead of 2027 polls. But the former Bayelsa State Governor and Senator Seriake Dickson has resigned from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. He cited deepening internal divisions within the party and is now aligning with the National Democratic Coalition, the NDC. Congress, NDC. His exit adds to growing concerns about the viability of the PDP as a cohesive opposition force at a time when pressure is now mounting for a united front to challenge the ruling party in 2027. But is this a principled stand or political repositioning ahead of the next electoral cycle? Well, can a fragmented opposition realistically mount a credible challenge, or a new alliance is the only pathway forward? Let's speak with Senator Seriake Dickson, a former governor of Bayelsa State and a sitting senator representing Bayelsa State in the National Assembly. Your Excellency, many thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, Shehu, for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for what you're doing for our country.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much indeed. A House of Reps member, a two-term governor of the PDP, a senator on the PDP, but you thought that that ship was sinking and you left it. You abandoned the ship.
Well, that's not a fair characterization. What has happened is that in the circumstances of PDP now, with all the crises that we've been managing, and I've been part of the, in a way, part of the, even though the governors and the others were at the forefront, but we were there on the sideline and offering advice, and once in a while being called upon to be part of a reconciliation and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, Shehu, it defied all reasonable solution. The solutions were straight ahead before us, but for some reasons, we never those driving it. And by the way, all those who were arguing and saying no to this, no to that, even when solutions were clear before us, the same governors, after disagreeing, have jumped to the APC. So, where we are now, it's not fair to say that I and others who are living now have left PDP. It will be more appropriate contextually to say that the PDP left me, PDP left us. Very sad that before our very eyes, our trusted and loved platform evaporated before our eyes. And that's different from living.
So the party in your own, ideologically, the PDP is dead. Is that
the PDP as I knew it, the PDP as Nigerians have known it since its formation, the PDP that I came to be part of when I left the Alliance for Democracy as its national legal advisor, and then supported a candidate in the ANPP, then APP becoming ANPP, Chief Parajua, of blessed memory now. And President Jonathan urged me on when I came to support him for governorship, for him to be governor. And he said, no, come in. You can't support me from outside. It will be better you are in. And I got in about 2004, 2005. That PDP Sheung has since been killed, has since been buried.
Who did this? And who are those responsible?
Whatever is left of the PDP, or whatever may be left of the PDP after all the shenanigans, clearly cannot be the PDP that I saw, cannot be the PDP that Nigerians entrusted with power. 3 presidents were elected back to back. President Obasanjo laying the foundation of Nigerian democracy, multi-party democracy, for 8 years. President Yar'Adua elected unanimously, massively. Unfortunately, he died along the way. And President Jonathan took over, completed that tenure, and in 2011 won election on his own merits. The entirety of Nigerians voted. That was the PDP that was attractive. Now, the shenanigans that have taken place, and please, I'm not here to talk about the roles individuals have played, because there are many and varied. There are many and varied, and enough blames to go around. Okay? Some have clearly played a more prominent role than others. But you see, what has happened is that one of Nigeria's most iconic political brands, right before our eyes, has been destroyed. What they have done to PDP, what they have allowed to do to the PDP, is like committing infanticide. A child entrusted to you, okay, for you to take care of. The governors and the other leaders, by their negligence, by their incapacity to solve these problems, by elevating personal ambition and personal benefits or whatever they thought was it, they couldn't solve these problems to save PDP. And I'm very sad about it. It's not a happy announcement that I made on that day when I was painfully saying I had no option. We stayed up until now believing that we could still save the PDP because of its iconic brand, its historic contributions to Nigeria's democracy, and the respect we need to give to those great Democrats who founded this platform. And coming from where I do, you know what the PDP means to us.
Yeah.
An umbrella for all Nigerians.
I mean, there are a lot of us who wouldn't even remember. I mean, I have known you years even before you became governor.
Yes.
And it's almost in obscurity what role you played in other political parties.
Yes.
You are almost synonymous to PDP. PDP is synonymous to, and some states like Bayelsa, Delta, Rivers, and the rest,
yes,
were called PDP states.
Yes.
And it's so sad that there are living founders of the party. How terrible was it that they are not able, the General Guzo of this world, the General Babangidas of this world, the General Olusegun Obasanjos of this world, are not able to rescue that ship that sank so deeply that no one knows how deep it is under the sea.
It's very sad, really. It's very, very sad. That's why I say I don't want us to talk about those who should have done something and did not. I don't want also for us to say those who played an active role in bringing about the destruction of one of the most iconic political brands of our country.
So it took a long time. It took a long time to make a decision to exit because you thought that you could rescue it.
We could, otherwise we would have left since. I mean, since I left governorship, for example, I took a back seat as my nature. No interference in governance, even in political matters, but being available only to.
We thought you were going to follow your successor in office when he decided to move to the APC. Did he consult you?
No. I said it at that time. To be fair to him, you know, people like, we don't tell lies. He consulted me, not once, not twice. And each time my answer was clear. I did not see the reason for leaving at that time, because I thought there was still a chance. And you know, even at that time, he was chairman of the zoning committee even. So we were making plans for a convention. That convention should have held in an inclusive sense, not a factionalized convention that later went to Ibadan, as it turned out to be. Very sad. And it could have all been avoided. You see, most of these guys don't know. Being in a large party doesn't mean that everybody must agree with you. No. You could have tendencies even within a party. So, up until that time, there were chances that we could rescue the party. For example, if we had acceded, or people had acceded to the idea of a caretaker committee, okay, set up before the convention, or merely passed as a result of a resolution of the convention, you may not be where you are. Maybe details will be worked out, yes. But politics is give and take. So, at that time, I thought that, and for good reasons, that there was still a window through which we could salvage the party. And I was also serving as a member of a committee chaired by Seriake, you know, to look into and reconcile the differences. And we were trying our best. So, and others were also working. And it was important for all those options to be exhausted. And don't forget, I'm a reconciler. I'm a consensus builder. I'm one who has been appointed by 5 different national chairmen of PDP to chair the National PDP Reconciliation Committee. 5 different chairmen. So there's nothing you tell me about PDP in any state that I don't know. So I know the weaknesses, I know the strengths,
but this particular crisis was beyond you.
No.
Because
the solution was very clear, easy.
What was the solution?
Look. People just needed to understand that politics is the art of consensus building. It's not always that you must insist that you will have your way or the high road or the highway. That's exactly what unfortunately has befallen PDP.
So one faction is not agreeing to concede and the other one is also not conceding.
People must agree to be reasonable. And you can do so when you, for example, number one, place the interest of the PDP, the interest of our democracy, and the interest of Nigerian stability before your personal ambitions. For example, why should anyone in PDP think that PDP must be a clone of an APC?
Is that what it's looking like?
No. Because you see, if you take that kind of position, people will also, you know, so on all sides, and like I said, I'm here to talk about the larger issues of democracy, and particularly the NDC that I not only joined, that I midwifed in forming, you know. I don't want to dwell and spend much time on what has already gone bad.
Let me ask you, sir, did you consult your it's someone that you listen to. It's a former President Goodluck Jonathan. Did you tell him about your...
I don't want President Jonathan's name to be brought into this conversation.
The reason is
I'm not his spokesman.
No, but you are his... should I call you his friend?
No. It's my boss.
Your brother.
It's my boss.
So if I say, if your boss, if you had consulted, or the the sitting governor consulted you,
yes,
one will imagine, because I know your relationship with former President Jonathan.
Yes.
And I know that for someone who had been a president, when he was president, you supported him from the state.
All sides.
Yeah.
Sides, yes.
So now, leaving the PDP, a party that all of you had put your hand and sacrificed for,
yes.
I imagine for some reason that you would have consulted with him.
Well, let me tell you, I don't want, I hold consultations and meetings with leaders of all categories. And one of the reasons people confide in me and discuss honestly and frankly with me is because they know that I'm not also flippant. And in this game, we must respect that, okay? It's not everybody I discuss with you that I come on national television to say, I discuss with Shehu and this is what...
Without saying the details of it.
Now what I want to say is, what I can say is that President Jonathan, while I'm not his spokesman, must be very sad. I know that. If I'm sad, having been this attached to the PDP, you can imagine how sad he will be, having been Nigeria's vice president, governor, deputy governor, vice president, president of Nigeria on one platform. And right before your eyes, that platform is evaporating. And like I said, either for me or President Jonathan or for any other person, now it won't be correct to say that we are leaving PDP or I have left PDP. The PDP, rather, unfortunately, has left us, has left me, because the platform has evaporated, has ceased to exist. Now, where is the National Secretary under lock and key for how long? Who is your National Chairman? This is caretaker appointed by who? So, those are the issues.
All right,
and for me, I am very clear. I don't want to be part of a PDP that does not represent the essential nature and character of the PDP that was attractive to me.
You know what somebody asked me, and I'll share the joke with you, and I'm not sure it's going to be very funny to you, but I'll say it anyways, because the person asked me, said, a land senator, Seriake Dickson, has left the PDP, but he has formed, he has gone to form a civil society organization, because NDC sounded like the name of a civil society organization.
It's a political party. The person needs more education. And very soon he will hear from Nigerians that it is the only credible and viable and young and clean political platform.
You formed it.
And no one person forms a party.
Or you can spearhead.
Oh yes, clearly, and proudly so. But with a lot of other Nigerians from all states of Nigeria who are here. And by the way, to set up a political party, the regulation says you must have even officers from 24, 25 states, 2/3. The same thing also what you need to win a presidential election. So that's what we have. We have presence in all states. We have presence in every local government. We have presence in wards. And Nigerians are registering en masse. And Chewu, I want to use this opportunity to appreciate and commend Nigerians for the trust and confidence in us. This is a platform that is only just about a month old. Take your mind back to 2013, 2014 when APC was formed, even when they had governors. If without any governor, NDC, Nigeria Democratic Congress, is making this much wave and impact, and Nigerians are seeing us and will increasingly see us as the days and weeks go by as the only viable, clean, alternative platform for the opposition, then that must be some credit to us. And I commend Nigerians. Yes, sorry.
So, I mean, moving to NDC, or to say that you move to the NDC, or you're bringing up a new political party, and many Nigerians will barely see it as a mainstream political force. Is it not too late to make it a mainstream political party, considering the calendar? Things are too close.
Listen. We have been builders. I've been politically building. I'm a builder. Okay? Shehu, you have been in this game for some time too. I know you for as long as you have also known me.
Yes.
You have appointment politicians. There are categories of politicians. Appointment politicians. They are business people or civil servants or whatever they are doing in life, no experience as to building and managing human beings. You understand? And harnessing human resources for political victory. They don't have that background. You appoint them, they become leaders. Ministers, commissioners, and all kinds of things. They could have money, but no experience in managing, identifying, headhunting, and building. There are others, the second category, election contesting politicians. They have no knowledge about how platforms are built and assembled, and how political power is crafted. They come to contest. If they win, they are bosses. They are driving on sirens and people say, Your Excellency, Your Excellency. They don't know how that has taken place. The third category, that's where people like us belong. And we are not too many. We're not too many in that. Those are builders of political platforms. And if you have the kind of experience that I've had from 1998, first working under the late MD Yusuf, when he formed the MDJ, Movement for Democracy and Justice. Yeah. I think Dr. Bayomi is still alive. Yeah. They worked there. I was the state chairman, worked with them. From there, gravitated to the Alliance for Democracy as a pioneer state chairman in Bayelsa. Produced a senator, this current Senate seat, elected, was won by the AD, 1998. Produced the House of Reps that I came later to occupy twice. Produced House of Assembly members, 1998. Okay? Organizing my people in the job platforms, and then became Attorney General, elected twice in the House of Reps, elected twice as governor, elected twice as senator. Haba. You are dealing with someone who understands the art of organizing human beings. Winning governorship for my successor in opposition. So you can call all elections. You can call it Seriake the organizer. Well, yes, because I'm an organizer. So you see, there's enough time. Yeah. There is enough time. As a matter of fact, if you have too much time for a new platform, that's a disadvantage. Because it is only the incumbents who have plenty of resources that can stretch you out. Are you sure they've not infiltrated you? Because I've had a guest who said every opposition party has been infiltrated and the plan is to decimate them. Well, look. That may not be a normal popular strategy. But in politics, certain things are to be expected. And it is the duty of the leadership of the political parties to ensure that steps are taken to prevent that. And nothing stops you from also infiltrating the APC. I mean, this is a game. Politics is war by other means. The only thing we say is don't use violent means, and as much as possible, try to have some decorum. But you can have columns in their column too. It's warfare by other means. So certain levels of underhand practices go in this business. We know that. Anyone who comes to say, oh, they are surprised, is not realistic. So are you open to go into a coalition ahead of the 2027 election? Well, let me tell you, where we are now, and that's why I must thank Nigerians for the support in massively registering. Across the country, people are leaving established political parties for a party that is just one month old because of what they perceive that some of us represent or have represented over the years. And I can't thank them enough. And I assure them that we are going to protect that trust and responsibility. Now, the issue of a coalition is far-fetched. We are taking first things first, and these are the things that come with experience. By the revised timetable, we are to do online registration of members, digital register. And I launched it, the party launched it. And we hope to complete that. When we face that, the party's neck is going to be taking place tomorrow. So the party, not me, the party will announce, I'm national leader of the party. The party's organs will announce their timetable and their programs for their congresses from wards to national, okay? And then they will let, so we want to win elections on our own. So you are we can. So you will be the presidential candidate? No, don't declare for me. Allow me. I'm asking. You should have asked me. Please, Seriake, the organizer. You should ask me. But thank you for asking me. And a number of people have also asked that. And I thank them. Because if you know the little that I've told you about myself, in addition to what I left and did in all these offices, the landmarks that are there, okay? And for a politician, you can always say people say all kinds of things. But when you go and verify, as Attorney General, as House of Reps member, you will see what I did. As Chairman of AD, as National Legal Advisor of the Alliance for Democracy, what I did as a Joint National Legal Advisor of the INC, all this platform, what I'm currently doing in the Senate is there. Therefore, people have a right to expect that there's no election in Nigeria I'm not qualified for. I can say that. Okay? But I know that we are not making a declaration for any other election. What we are focusing now is how to bring Nigerians to this party. Make Nigerians know that this is a platform for all of them. Okay? And then we work with Nigerians that are available to contest for various offices, including the presidency.
Presidency for you is not off the table.
Well, right now, that's not something we're not doing NDC because of a presidential ambition. Let me put it.
But I'm telling you, is it a personal question to you?
Yes,
that wanting to become a president is not off the table.
Let me tell you, as we are speaking, that's not something I'm considering. I'm not considering that.
But it's not impossible.
Okay, am I not qualified? Is there anyone you can say, apart from the current president in southern Nigeria, the current president, and then the former president, and probably former vice president Oshibanjo? Who else can you say politically has the kind of antecedent and pedigree that I have? So that's for you.
That's very qualified to be able to run against anyone. And
of course, clearly. But that's not what I'm after. Don't declare presidential ambition for me. Okay? You know I'm a politician of conviction.
And it will sound very interesting. Yeah. Dickson for president.
Well, if you say so. But wait for me
Seriake,
to say so.
The organizer. Give me a moment. We'll go on a break. But when we return, the implication of the pressure and the crisis in opposition political parties and the implication on our democracy get our attention. Plus, the 2027 elections and some of the permutations. Where are we headed as a people? We'll find out from my guest tonight after this break, everyone. Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us. Former governor of Bayelsa State and sitting senator of Bayelsa in the National Assembly, the national leader of the NDC, Senator Seriake Dickson, has been speaking with us on the program. Thanks so much, Your Excellency, for your time. NDC. What does it stand for, though?
Well, the NDC means ideology. It means, okay, Nigeria Democratic Congress. Nigeria political parties are bereft of ideology. And from my background, which not many people know politically, you will be right in saying, as an elder statesman told me just this afternoon, that I'm clearly a politician who is left of the center. Okay? Left of the center. I'm not welfarist. Yes, welfarist and for the people. Yeah. Okay? So that's my orientation. Yeah. That's why I was from the MDJ to the Alliance for Democracy, where I learned a lot about opposition politics and organization and so on and so forth. And then before moving to the mainstream PDP. And the PDP at that time was also a central party, a centrist party, you know. So there is need for us all to develop and grow a party for the Nigerian people that is ideological. A party with a clear direction, where you know where that party stands. Now, I can see that in most of these parties. And that's the reason I'm not going to APC, because I disagree. Even with the collapse of the PDP, I have options. And if I was in AD for that long, you should know that even in this current administration, there are people who know me and I know them. Okay? Based on the past. Now, I disagree fundamentally with the APC and the direction they are taking Nigeria to. Okay? Sector by sector.
Are we in trouble?
Sector by sector. The country clearly is in trouble. And that you don't need to ask anyone. Everybody knows on the streets of Nigeria.
But you share similar ideology, a social welfare tendency.
Social welfare, and if there are any legislations on that, any executive intervention on that, I have always been one of the most supportive of that. I don't need anybody to talk to me. I'm a federalist, for example. So I want us to be very clear about the type of country we are in and the type of country we should build for ourselves and hand over to succeeding generations. No existing party offers that guide and compass where you say It is what the APC will do, whether it is president this or president that. But you can't say so.
Can we owe the NDC?
Yes.
And what will the NDC do for Nigerians? Why should Nigerians look in the way of the NDC? Because in the first place, there are those who will say, why can't we finish off this 2027 election? Why is your position fragmented?
Well, first of all, I can answer that.
Are you not joining in the fragmentation of the opposition?
No. We cannot be blackmailed to join in either of the two that we disagree with. The first I disagree with, the APC. The only condition under which I would have considered the APC as an option was when, under the chairmanship of Chief John Oyegun, His Excellency, former governor of Edo, when he was national chairman, and they set up a committee on restructuring, chaired by Malam El Rufai. And they did a great job. If the APC government at the center at that time, under President Buhari, if they had implemented those recommendations, because as far as I know, they have the one set of people that have done the most comprehensive work, including drafting of legislations. They did all of that. If they had done that, because Shehu, I'm ideological. I am a politician of conviction. I came into politics not to survive, not to earn a living, or to occupy an office, or to be a contractor, or to be a big man. No, I came in to give service to the people, because that's my orientation. I'm a people-based politician, and I must always see that any party or the policies and projects and programs must align with the people, beginning with the people I represent, and then the rest of the country. That's how I was raised. Remember, I worked with the great masters, even from my place. The great Harold Apabiri, the great Melford Okilo, who guided the merger or the relationship between the AD, when I was chairman, and the NSM, a party he founded. And then to Clark, who just passed. That's South. And then the other leaders. My leader, Obi Lulu Briggs, who brought me to the AD, and Eric Aso, and so on, down south. And then working with the great masters from the Southwest, who have all gone now. Chief Bola Ige was our leader. The Baba Adesoya, Baba Adebanjo, who had just gone. I used to receive them in Port Harcourt when they came to, I was chairman. So you see, I've worked with all of these, and with MD Yusuf and so on and so forth, when we started MDJ. So you see, I'm very clear about what I support, what I like, and what I oppose.
So you don't agree with APC because you don't think that they are doing the right thing, and they are running the country aground as far as you're concerned.
Oh yes.
But on the other hand, you also don't agree with the ADC.
Now let me put it this way. Let me put it to be fair to the leaders of the ADC, and a number of them, I'm in touch. You can't occupy all of these offices for almost 30 years without knowing.
Having friends.
Yes. I have good friends in the APC, for example. Well, we have good friends, but it remains there. But politically, I disagree fundamentally with the direction the APC has taken Nigeria to. Not just under President Tinubu. Right from 2015, the APC has consistently taking Nigeria from top to bottom. And I can't, because bandwagon effect, everybody is rushing there for one reason or the other, which may be personal.
And you don't think under Bola Tinubu anything is changing?
No. There are a few policies I agree with. For example, the issue of establishment of the NEL fund. I did a similar thing over 10 years ago in Bayelsa. So it may interest, most people don't know, I chaired the joint committee of the National Assembly to rework that bill. We didn't sleep for 3 days. I shared it and finalized the draft that was acceptable to all, and we passed it. But that's the right step. I am in support of the credit core, okay, if it works well. I am in support of social interventions if there is no fraud, and we can institutionalize it and ensure that it goes to serve and alleviate the sufferings of the less privileged people. Because those are the people for whom I'm in service. Okay? I'm not a politician of convenience. So you've got to show me other things It's not enough to say everybody is running to APC and then go. I don't ask you why.
Other than those, because you also disagree with the ruling party on the floor of the Senate.
Yes, I always do. Yes.
In the matter of the electoral amendment, you think that there is a fraud in it, and you disagree with that and a few other things.
For example, the APC, fundamentally, right from Buhari, it's not just a Tinubu thing. It's an APC thing. And that's why I can't be part of that. The APC has not moved Nigeria's electoral reform process 1 inch forward from where they left it, from where they met in 2015. The PDP under President Jonathan, okay? I was in the National Assembly before I chaired the Justice Committee, okay? Before we went there, and card reader was introduced. Reforms were put in place. Each time, both in the 9th Senate when I came to meet them, and also in this 10th Senate, each time you talk of electronic transmission of this, everybody will be up in arms against us. Now, that's not right. There's need for direct control, direct leadership, and we have not had that. Okay? I supported the president when he introduced, in my view, in support of federalism, the attempt to give priority to derivation in VAT calculations. Because that is federalism. I'm a federalist. I don't want a Nigeria that is overbloated in terms of the exclusive legislative list. These are some of the reasons why Nigeria is the way it is. So now there are issues of state police. If I look at the structure that is formulated, fundamentally, that is a long-standing demand. But if it is crafted well, because I'm a federalist, I am bound to support it.
So why
that's the type of party
why don't you support ADC?
Now, the ADC, that's why I say I know most of them. And I commend them. I commend the efforts they are making. By not even joining that bandwagon too. Some of them broke away from it. Because, Shehu, for example, we have to have a multi-party democracy. That takes hard work, that takes sacrifices, such as what we are doing. And what the ADC leaders are doing. So I commend them for that. But I can't join because, let me say, I don't know what ADC stands for. I don't know.
They just released a document on their manifesto.
So I can only speak, Shehu, to what I know. Maybe if I'm convinced, if I read, I will ask, how is the ADC thinking of the issue of federalism in Nigeria and the essential devolution of powers? Okay? That will take us back to where we were before 1960.
Does the NDC have its own manifesto now?
Oh, yes, we are. At the right time, we will release it.
And you say you're left of the center party?
Oh, yes, we are.
The social welfare is
oh, yes. Because all politics and all governance and all society is about the well-being, safety, and well-being of the people.
We often see that at elections, at general elections, there are parties who are not as big as some other political parties will find a convenience based on ideology to say, let's work together ahead of the election. And in the PDP, there are so many political parties that have aligned with the PDP. In fact, dropped their presidential candidate ahead of several elections, and I can give several examples. Is the NDC considering maybe to work with some other political parties for the 2027 election?
That is a long shot. For now, like I said, we are builders. And when you are building, this is the stage of foundation. We are just digging the foundation. NDC is just 4 weeks old.
So the reason why I'm asking is
I'm coming to that.
Senator, is the fact that there are those who believe that for you to be able, and I know part of your agenda as an opposition party, you are setting this party up to win elections. And part of your agenda is that you want to chase President Bola Tinubu out of the villa, and the APC you want to stand and pack him. And the strategy to do it are those who say you cannot remove that strongly rooted political party and that structure without coming together as a coalition. It's almost going to be an impossible. The way in 2015 it happened that the APC came together as a coalition political party and upstaged the PDP from the power at the center is the likelihood of how APC can be defeated in 2027.
Now let me tell you, while removing the APC is important, what you are gathering to do in government, your governance priorities and the processes are also equally important. That is the problem with the APC. They gathered together for the sake of removing the PDP and President Jonathan. And look at where we are. They brought in Buhari. No one asked, what are you gathering for?
They said
When
change.
you win power, they said
change. Change.
Well, no, change can be both ways. You can change from bad to worse, as the APC has done. You can change from bad to worse. If you say that was bad, PDP was bad, whether it is corruption, whether it is insecurity. Now corruption, you can't even mention anything. People talk now, calculate monies now in trillions. Monies they probably don't even need. So that is where we are. Whether it is insecurity, whether it is on the economy, whether it is on fighting corruption, whether it is on deepening democracy, the APC, or even in not respecting Nigeria's essential diversity, because that's what we are. The APC has done so woefully. Let me tell you what the APC did. As someone from my state, my constituent, who has served all his life, under President Buhari, was almost number 2. He was appointed by President Oshibanjo as acting DGSSS. What happened? When President Buhari came, he was yanked off. That's not the Nigeria you can convince me the APC wants to build. As someone who retired as a DIG, forcefully retired, and is now dead, may his soul rest in peace. Moses Jitobo. That one I will call his name because he's not alive. Now, that's not the Nigeria you convince me you are building in the APC. So, you see, this man has gone into, and I've studied under the masters. We are very clear about what political power should be used for. I am not one of those who will follow a bandwagon to an APC, because from 2015 till date, I have not seen 1 inch of progress that Nigeria has attained under the APC leadership.
All right.
Yes. Now the ADC, yes, they are doing a good job. They are my friends, older friends, some of them my colleagues. We meet and interact from time to time. We compare notes, yes, but I ask those fundamental questions. Where do you stand on federalism? Where do you stand on devolution of powers? Where do you stand on respecting the environment of Nigeria, and particularly the environment that has been so degraded in the Nigeria? These are fundamental issues. And the governance priorities,
we are totally out of time. Yeah.
Education, healthcare, women and youth involvement.
Right.
I want answers to this.
Senator Seriake Dickson, the national leader of the NDC, senator represented Bayelsa State, and a former governor of Bayelsa State. Thanks so much indeed for your time.
Thank you very much, Shehu.
And I wish you and the NDC the very best. Seriake, the organizer, Dickson for President 2027. That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching.
You will raise the money for
I'm sure Akimale. God bless Nigeria.